Hello, 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 everybody. I am just going to, we're going to wait for Lori to hop on, and then we will get started in this incredible conversation. So great to see everybody joining. What we're talking about is something that I'm so passionate about. It's really about normalizing success. Normalizing success. I think for me, I always saw people with seven figures as a certain gender and they had a certain look. And I'll tell you one thing, I wasn't that look. I wasn't that look, and I didn't see many other people that were that look. So it's just so exciting to now start to open that up, to see role models, to see people that are creating wealth, creating the life that they want, that look like me. So I'm thrilled, and I'm thrilled that we're gonna have Lori Kennedy here to join us, and she's going to share her experience as well. So feel free to tell anybody that you feel should be here to hop on over and join us in this live. I'll see if, no, that's not Lori. I was just going to see if Lori was here. And let me know also, what questions do you have as Lori is coming on? Maybe just let me know, when you think of somebody that is a millionaire, what comes to mind? What do they look like? There's Lori. Okay, let me bring Lori on here. There we go. Oh, how do I do this? Go live with Lori Kennedy. There we go. Go live. And so that's one of the questions is, what did it look like for you? Hi, Lori.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am excellent. I've so been looking forward to this.
Likewise.
So
For having
let's, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So Lori, I'm just going to do like a quick intro. I would love you to intro yourself, and then I just like to get right to it.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
Let's go.
Okay. So Lori is a mom to two kids. She is the CEO and founder of the Wellness Hub, the Wellness Business Hub, and she has an amazing podcast. Be sure to check it out and actually go and start following her, called The Business of Becoming Podcast. I had the pleasure of being a guest on that podcast, and that's how we connected.
Yeah.
Lori, is there anything else that you want to share about you before we get started, just to paint the picture a bit?
Yeah. It's really funny because I heard you talking about a millionaire and like what do they look like and whatever. And I think what's so good about this conversation and what's so good about you and your work is we sort of subscribe to the same thing. It's like you can't model what you don't see.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much misconception or just these old beliefs around money and wealth and success and all of that. And it's like, I'm sitting at my island in my house, I remember somebody saying something to me like, really, really successful people are just like everybody else. Like we're just, and for some reason, like they're put on this like pedestal, the scale, whatever. So I love, thank you for having me. And I love having this conversation because like on paper, I have no qualifications to, achieve the level of success that I've achieved. So I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Well, let's dive in. You talked about the challenge of modeling something that you don't see. Did you have role models? Were there people making seven figures in your life when you were growing up?
So it's really interesting because, I want to answer this in two parts.
Okay.
No. And at the same time, I didn't know until I was much, much older that my father, who's a nuclear engineer, was also an entrepreneur. But he was a nuclear engineer first, just like how I was a nutritionist first, right? You are a high performance coach, but you also are an entrepreneur, right? He was a nuclear engineer, but he created a company. He sold his company to a bigger company, and I don't know how much money he sold it for. We've never discussed it. He won't tell me. But I go to him, he's very, very, very successful. So it wasn't until only a couple of years ago that I realized that. So no, growing up, there was no discussion about success. There was no discussion about aspirations. There was no, the world is your oyster. There was no discussion about money. There was no discussion about anything. It was, you go to school and like, what do you want to do? Oh, that's what you want to do. Cool. Like, at least in my, like, you know, I later went back to school to become a registered holistic nutritionist. When I was in high school, I didn't know kinesiology was a thing. You know, nobody, like, I don't know, like, I was so sheltered. So no, I had no idea about that. And then the other way that I wanted to answer this question was, there were no female role models either. Like,
Yes.
as I became more successful, my mentors have been men.
Yes.
People that I have learned from to get me to where I am have been men.
Yes.
Yes. And so you know, it's one of the reasons that, you know, we do what we do, and we have the tiers, and we work with, you know, professionals who are, you know, multi 6 figures and 7, who are women, because it's just different for us. And the world was not set up for women to win. And it's different for us. Kids, no kids, married, not married, doesn't matter. It's just different.
And so so first of all, when you decided to go back to school and become a holistic nutritionist, what was the reaction from your family?
They were like, cool, it's fine.
They were fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so did you know that this kind of wealth, making multiple 6 figures, what are 7 figures, was available to you?
No. To me until April 2019. Like, I didn't even know. Like, and it's crazy because only recently, like, you get to a level. So I became aware of what 6 figures was for the first time in March of 2012. Okay. Like, in terms of 6 figures, like that phrase, because there was somebody named Rebecca standing on stage talking about her 6-figure fitness business. And I literally was like, what's 6 figures? And within that same year, my nutrition business hit 6 figures. And it wasn't, I didn't know about, I didn't realize that I had the power to make $1 million until I saw it modeled by people in the same industry as me doing it before me. So that's why it's so important to have these conversations, because I would not be here had it not been for them going first.
I know, it's so important. And this is why, you know, sometimes when people are sharing something personal or something that could be seen more as sad, we think of that as like sharing something vulnerable. Mm-hmm. For me, honestly, sharing success has been vulnerable. 100%. That has been the vulnerable moment. But for that reason, as you said, it's my obligation to share it, to show what is possible.
Yes.
Because we don't see it in this look necessarily. We haven't.
Right. 100%. And it's so interesting because I think it's, first of all, you don't, you know, in the corporate world, you see it reflected if they're like on the Inc. 500 list or the Inc. 5000, whatever. But most corporations don't go around flaunting like on Facebook or Instagram, like how much revenue they've generated. So I think that that's part of it. I think it's a very new thing. I think that the only people that do that are people like us, to show other people that it's possible, because it is extremely rare for, first of all, a female entrepreneur who's not in the tech world, who doesn't have, you know, venture-backed capital, to have a multi-million-dollar business. Mm-hmm. You know, when, like I said, on paper, I don't have an MBA. I don't have a business background. Like, I went to school, I became a personal trainer, I have a Bachelor of Arts, and then I went back to school to become a registered holistic nutritionist. And we're on track to hit 8 figures in a 12-month period. Like, on paper, that's like mind-blowing to me, like completely mind-blowing. And so it's just like, how is that even possible? And honestly, it's possible because I saw someone else do it and was like, well, I'm just as smart, if not smarter. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.